All right, is it working? Yes, it is, and it's incredibly loud. Man, we are live. How we doing, guys? This is Hack Nation Live. I'm your host, Aaron Bennett. How you guys doing? If you're joining us for the first time, every Wednesday night, at least we attempt every Wednesday night from 7 to 9 Central Time to come on here and give back to this community that has been such a huge part of my life, and just try and give back as much as I can. Welcome one, welcome all. We're certainly glad to have anybody that wants to join. If you're new to this is a call in show, it's caller centric. Um, Driven by the callers, so to speak, more like an AM talk show that you can see the host. Even though I have a face made for radio, you're going to have to bear with me and look at it. So the number to call in is 573-422-4225. That's 573-422-4225. Talk about anything you want. Obviously, we're diesel mechanics here, and we're in that industry, but we don't have to talk about stuff of that nature. We can talk about anything you guys want. So, anyhow, we'll get to some of these comments here while we're waiting for people to join us. I lost some power after installing PDI exhaust manifold, no codes, no boost, leaks pass injector cutout test on an X15. Well, even though PDI is not my favorite company by any stretch of the imagination, they do make some very good products. And your PDI exhaust manifold cannot be the reason that you have a power loss. Like any problem that you have with mechanical engines, it's a process of elimination. You need to start over and come back and eliminate everything. Do you have any codes? Is it actually derating, which is the most likely scenario? We had our exhaust manifold off, which means we had our turbo off. Is the turbo not calibrated now? Are we not actuating for some reason? What I'm trying to say is the odds of the manifold being the cause of the loss of power is basically no. There's no way. It's not the cause. It's totally unrelated. Was thinking maybe the exhaust pressure sensor got thrown out of whack. And exactly. I'm not saying that's it, but I'm saying that's the right mentality. It's not the cause of it is not the manifold itself. Something else is going on there. Just so you guys know, my Roadcaster's been having a problem. It froze up twice while I was getting ready to start this show. So if it freezes up, we may have to forego doing the callers part of this show, but we will see. Right now we have a call. We'll go ahead and take the caller here and make sure that the whole system's working. Scott, you're on the air, brother. What can we do for you?
Hey, I got a C13 KCB. It was converted to a single turbo. Long story short, about 100,000 ago, the guy had it overhauled, that cat, platinum overhauled, and then he was stupid, converted it to a single turbo and put a hopped up tune in it, and it cracked the head. I called you a while ago on this crankshaft that got water jetted because there was coolant in the oil. So I just out of framed it, got it running, and now it's white smoking at idle. It's not horrible, but definitely, I think it could possibly be a tune. And I called Bennett Truck Repair earlier to get pricing on injectors, but I was on Cat ET today, and it said it was at 470 horsepower. And I know the guy who tuned it, and he said it's at 5 1/4. So somewhere in the trim files, I'm guessing it's popped up through the Coolant. Just call and get your input on it.
Well,
before I throw a 6-pack in it.
Sure. Throwing money at it's, never in my opinion, is never the solution to anything. But
Right.
did you leave it single turboed?
I did, yeah. And I did the IPD low compression pistons. It has a fully loaded Inconel head or Inconel valve head. So I mean, it's built for it. It's just it makes me sleep better at night knowing it's not all hopped up.
I didn't know IPD made a low compression piston for the KCB.
You know,
That
I
is,
got it through my machine shop here in Wisconsin.
huh? I did not know that. I'm not saying it's not a thing. If that is a thing, if that is true, that is good information. Guys call me all the time with C13. He's like, "Hey, I want to do that." Basically a miniature 640 build. I'm like, "Hey, you can." There's really no piston available for that, so that's really good. That's really
Right.
really cool. I didn't know that. So,
And so I went into the other thing. I went into the ECM and I was seeing what the test spec numbers or whatever was in it. I'm going my history here. Let's see. For the test spec number, it had like a weird Esperos or something that was weird. And then the ECM personality number, I believe it was, it's obviously a custom tube because it literally says Smokin' Pete for the name. So that's why I'm like, well, I should probably lower this tune or put just like a 470 in it or something.
yeah,
And then go from there.
I'm sure that most of your problems are coming down to that tune. It's not like one advantage you have over on the C15s is people have been doing it for so long and there's so much trial and error that's happened. There's a lot of good tunes out there. I'm sure that is not the case for what you're dealing with there. I don't even know where you would go to get a good tune for that. I'm sure that I could dig up some Canadians that have good tunes for that, but I don't have anywhere to send you, so to speak.
I mean, I have a diesel laptop with everything in it.
Sure.
So that test spec, it was an Everas, EVERAS.
Yeah, I'll be honest, man. I've never done what you're dealing with to a C13, so I really don't have, and I don't have any knowledge on it at all. I mean, I know my way inside and out of a C13 every way from Sunday, but not. I didn't even know until 2 minutes ago that I could get a low compression piston for one, right? So, but my guess
took me a month to get them, but I got them.
Yeah, my guess is that your tune is addressed for sure.
I mean, with everything going on, let's say I do put a 470 in it. How does that work with the IVAs and everything being a no-go on this thing anymore?
If you've changed the
do I have to do anything special that I can move?
If you change the compression, it shouldn't be a problem.
I'm saying ECM tune-wise or whatever I put in it.
Right.
File.
Right. You're going to have to find somebody who knows what they're doing, or it's going to be looking for the VVAs and causing you all kinds of problems. That's the part I can't help you with.
Right. Okay.
Right. Because I just don't know.
Right. Okay. Nope. I get it.
So, all right, brother. Well, good luck.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, we got callers stacking up here. Why does everyone say the 14 liters is better than the C15? I don't know anyone that says that. So I don't know what you mean by everyone. You do have some pros of the 14 liter, but I don't know if those are pros over the cat, other than it will most likely give you better fuel mileage than a cat. That would be, you're not necessarily going to see better longevity, or you're certainly not going to see better torque or anything like that. So the only case that could be made for the 14 liter being better than the cat would be to say I can get better fuel mileage. So the number to call in, guys, is 573-422-4225. That's 573-422-4225. There was one. What was the hardest part about starting your shop, and how did you overcome that? So there wasn't any hard part about starting my shop, but you guys have to remember that I started my shop in North Dakota when I still had 23 trucks running. Before I decided to move over to just doing the shop, we already had 3 years behind us of building engines while running trucks. So, the engine building was just to complement what we were already doing. So I kind of circumvented any of those struggles that a new shop would have. That makes sense. Just using the 5 or 6 mechanics that had always been with me, and just we're doing more work than we were doing before. So, um, yeah, I mean, so I kind of bypassed that struggle story that could have existed. All right, Mike, you're on the air, brother. N14 troubles. What can we do for you?
Not troubles, actually. I'm about to buy a truck, a 97 binder with an N14. I was just wondering how they are. I've never had an N14, just cats. So, is there anything I should be weary about before buying it? Or
Well, I mean,
it's a Select Plus, if that matters. But
yeah, I wouldn't want an N14 that wasn't. It's not like that. They're not going to be a good engine. It's just, your Select Plus is the only one that has adequate horsepower in this day and age, right? That's why I'm not such a big fan of the big cam 400 and all that. They just don't have the power that the N14 does. That N14 red top. I think if you've never had one and you've only ran cats, you're going to be pleasantly surprised that with it in its performance, it will perform very, very well. They jake really good. They pull really good. The only difference is you're going to run the RPMs up a little higher than you would on a cat if you want to get that performance out of it. And it should get quite a bit better fuel mileage than that cat. They're a little bit more.
Okay, yeah, because I got a 6NZ right now. I like 5.5 miles per gallon. So
it'll at least give you that. It should. Your N14s are incredibly affordable to overhaul. Everything on them is incredibly affordable, so it's a huge pro of having one. They are a little bit more.
Okay, so the motor shouldn't be an issue then.
Well, they're a little more complicated than a cat, as far as just overhauling them, and they're a little bit more finicky. They have injector problems. Their ECMs aren't as bulletproof. They have a.
You guys sell kits for those, or?
Yeah, of course, but they have a accessory drive that runs the water pump and all that. They're just more. Whereas like cat the cat water pump runs in the gear train, so even if you lost all your belts and everything, you're still going to be pumping water. There's just a few minor things on the N14 that aren't as good as a cat in my opinion. But as far as just in general, it's a great engine. I mean, it was Cummins' answer to the 6 or the 4 1/4 cat, right? They had to one up cat, and it was the answer to all that. And so, and it lives up to its name. They're great engines for sure.
Perfect. And yeah, I just wanted to say thanks there. I'd called in a couple months ago about noise in my tranny. It kept popping in when I had split forward.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, it's in the rear box. And sure as shit, you're like, yeah, it's fucked. And it was fucked.
Well, I don't know if you should thank me for that.
It saved me a lot of headache, man. It's easier to just chuck one in over the weekend than be down during the week somewhere else. Like I'm from Ontario and I'm always in the States, so it's better off just limping it home and doing it, getting it over with.
Yep, right on, brother. Well, good luck with that truck, okay?
Perfect, thanks.
Bye. Anyway, we'll go ahead and hit the callers. We're starting to stack up quite a few callers here. My N14 has been having light blow-by since rebuilding. It's fully broken. Is it typical for an N14? Guys, it's not typical for any engine to have blow-by per se, and that's on this hand. But on this hand, every engine has blow-by, even when they're just rebuilt. And, and I've shown you guys that, we have CFM testing machine here. A brand new engine is going to have somewhere between 1 and 3 CFM of crankcase pressure the day it gets overhauled, and it just progressively gets worse from there over time. That's what our total seal rings are all about, is eliminating that. But light blow by, it's really hard to determine, you texting light blow by, me trying to determine whether you have a problem or not. What you really need to use as a metric is there's a twofold way to measure whether you have too much blow by. Is number one, are you consuming oil? And number two, do an oil sample. That's going to let you know if you're putting a lot of soot down into the crankcase and all of that. But a lot of guys don't understand, so I just want to explain it really quick. Callers will come to you here in just 1 second. What is blow by? Where is it coming from? Why does it come out of the blow by hose as smoke? What's actually going on? Well, what is going on there is combustion gas slides past the rings and goes into the crankcase. And imagine you have the flat surface of the oil. Now, if you take a blowtorch to a 5-gallon bucket of oil and you blow it at the top, it's not going to catch on fire. What is it going to do? It's going to smoke. It smokes the top layer, so you're burning the top layer of the oil. That is exactly what is going on. That's where the smoke comes from in your blow-by tube, is that hot fire gas is coming down and burning the top layer of your oil. And that's what it means when you're burning oil in your engine. It's not, a lot of guys imagine that somehow it's getting on top of the piston and you're burning it in the combustion chamber. That is not what's going on. Flames are coming down and burning the top surface of the oil in the crankcase. And that smoke, coupled with the combustion gas putting pressure in your crankcase, comes out of your blow-by tube in the form of smoke. And so you burn oil in the form of smoke coming out of your blow-by system from flames literally burning the top of your oil. Oil going on top of the piston crown and getting consumed that way is not a thing. That's not a thing that happens inside of an engine. That's why when guys think that they're pushing oil out of their exhaust manifold, I tell you guys that it's diesel fuel that's coming out of your exhaust manifold. It's not oil. It is impossible for oil to be coming out of your exhaust manifold. You're not getting oil on top of the piston and coming out. Anyway, so I work with ones like 6.7s. We do 6.7s, 5.9s, all that kind of stuff. But we only mess with them as far as overhauling them if they were a commercial engine. They were in a sprayer or a genset or something like that. But as far as parts, we service all those with parts. So if you have a pickup and you want to overhaul it, we have all this stuff. We sell all that stuff. So anyway, back to the callers. Lamar, what can we do for you?
Yeah, I got an 871 Cummins and had a little over 50,000 in rebuild, and it started consuming oil. I did rebuild with gapless rings. I'm looking for directions on what to do or how to move forward.
Well, I mean, gapless rings aren't really a fix for that problem. If you're experiencing premature crankcase pressure, you've either scored a liner, broke a ring, or accelerated wearing out the liner wall, which was, exposure to diesel fuel washing it out or something of that nature. And could you patch it up with some gapless rings? The answer is yes. It would probably be a vast improvement, but it's not. I mean, you're really throwing a Band-Aid on something that needs a repair. That makes sense. And whenever I'm faced with something,
Yeah, well,
sorry,
Dude.
go ahead.
did you copy that? It was just rebuilt. It has like 50,000 on it. And we did use gapless rings.
Oh, you did use gas. Where'd you get them?
From Total Seal. So it actually, for the first 30,000, you use a conventional oil, and it was doing pretty good. And I switched over to have synthetic blend, and it was good for like 10,000. At 15, it started using oil like crazy. So yeah, we pulled the manifold, and it appears to be all 6 cylinders are. Yeah, it's not like we could push it down to 1 cylinder. It's going to be all 6 for wet.
Wet where in the manifold?
Yeah, it doesn't have it shows no signs of blow by. It just consumes oil like crazy, like 2 gallons and 2,500 pounds or better.
Okay, so, but you're showing wet in the manifold?
The shop that built it, they said, yes, all 6 are showing wet.
Okay. And so this kind of ties into what I was just talking about, right? If you're showing wet in the manifold, that is not oil going on top of the piston crown and getting pushed out of the exhaust manifold. That's not a thing. And unfortunately, in this industry, everybody thinks it is a thing, and it's not. It is not something that can happen. It is diesel fuel, 100%. Now, if you're showing signs of diesel fuel in the exhaust system, and this is a fresh rebuild, that will usually start to quickly correlate to high oil consumption. And the reason is unburnt diesel fuel sitting on the piston crown, showing up in your exhaust system. Before it ends up in your exhaust system, it was sitting on the piston crown, not getting burnt. Diesel fuel is an amazing solvent, and it can win the war with oil underneath the piston that's oiling the ring lands. The diesel fuel washing it back down from the top can win that war and allow the rings to start to make contact with the liner. And what will happen is you will wear out the crosshatch in your liner incredibly quickly, and you'll start to notice oil consumption. Now you're saying, well, I don't have any blow-by. That's probably because you have those Total Seal rings. But what my guess is probably when you're under load, in other words, you're out driving it and you have lots of boost pressure, you're probably pushing past rings and everything right down the liner wall and burning that thing when you're driving it under load. And when you come to it idle and you're just sitting there, everything seems to be fine.
If it's really light load or extended idle periods, I'll get blue-gray smoke. But if I'm working it hard, it burns clean, or pretty clean.
No, I understand.
Be black smoke if it does anything.
I understand. It wouldn't be coming out of your stacks. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. You can't burn oil up on top of the pistons and come out the stacks. And guys are saying oil can get around the valves and get on the pistons. That's not really a thing either. Obviously, you can take apart a cylinder head, look inside where the intake and exhaust valves are, and you can see where there'll be a little bit wet. But you're never going to have oil pour in through your valve stem seal to the tune of soaking down your exhaust manifold. I understand you can weep a little bit of oil from the top, but you're not going to notice oh man, I'm burning oil like crazy because it's going through my valve stems, right? That's not a thing. If you're losing oil and you're certain you don't have an oil leak anywhere, it's going out the blow-by tube.
Okay. I'm not seeing signs on that on quarter fenders or anything, but I'll keep watching that.
Well,
how we resolve this problem?
So I have a truck out there right now. It's the one I just made a video on. The guy came here. He's been having we recently rebuilt it. It's almost identical story, right? It's burning a lot of oil. He's running full synthetic. We had him switch back to conventional. So I have a truck out there that kind of has the same issue. And we did discover that his air compressor was putting a lot of oil. I mean, it completely filled his air dryer. And we thought, oh well, we found it finally. That's where all his oil's going. You know, because he has no blowby, total seal rings, everything's good. But yeah, he called me today, said he's still losing some oil. So we can't, and we talked about the same scenario that I just talked to you about under load. But the thing is when you're losing oil under load like that, you usually see it on your chassis. You know what I mean? So, you know, make sure you roll underneath that truck and see if you have any oil down your chassis. That's a good sign that it's coming, that you're losing a lot of oil when you're under load. Because when you're hauling ass down the road and you're losing the amounts that you're talking about, you'll usually see it as oil splatter down the chassis, you know, down from transmission back. Does that make sense?
Yeah, front of fuel tanks, quarter fender. Yeah.
Yes,
I'll
sir.
have to watch for that.
Yeah, look for that. And if you see that, you kind of already have your answer. If you don't see that, I would start looking really hard for an oil leak. Make sure you don't have an oil leak. You know, maybe rear main seal's leaking. You just don't know it or whatever. You know what I mean?
Okay. So that would be.
And make
So
sure,
yeah.
make sure your air,
How would you?
make sure your air tanks aren't full of oil. Could all be going out of your compressor.
We had put a new compressor on, but that doesn't mean any days. I will check that also.
Yeah, that shit.
So check the air tanks. Watch for signs of oil on the chassis.
Yeah.
Any other ideas?
Run Lucas in it for a little bit just to stop losing all this oil. You know, and get some more miles on it. See if it comes out of it.
Because I went back to conventional.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah,
all right.
And I kind of suspect on ours where it's an identical issue, that he went to full synthetic way too soon, which was like he did like in 1,000 miles. He went to full synthetic and started burning oil right away. And we had him switch back, you know, and you know, that full synthetic does a damn good job. And sometimes you don't need oil to do that good of a job.
I had waited till 30-some thousand on it, so I thought that was long enough. But yeah.
Some guy. All right, brother. Well, good luck with that one. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. And Kurt over here in the comment section says, Aaron always has an excuse, and when gapless rings were presented in the story, he started fumbling. If I was fumbling, why would I sit there and tell you guys about another one? Make that make sense. If I was fumbling when he told me it had gapless rings, why would I go ahead and tell you guys about an identical problem I'm having with one with gapless rings? God damn, dude. How much oil is he using? About 2 gallons in about 3,000 miles is what he said. But we have a lot of engines with gapless rings. And it's not a theme. It's actually, the theme is the other way around, where we see no oil consumption at all. So, yeah, you know, he's seeing wet in his exhaust manifold and this and that. You know, you know, the signs kind of match up. Here's another thing, guys, is if you're getting oil into your exhaust manifold system, here's something you need to think about. For the guys that insist that it's oil in there, you've obviously never got oil in that part of your system, because if you fire up a truck that has oil in the exhaust system, the amount of white smoke the exhaust puts out is unfucking real. A cup of oil in my exhaust system will smoke this entire 20,000 square foot shop out. You wouldn't even be able to see in here. So if you think it's oil and you're firing it up and it is not billowing buckets of white smoke out of the exhaust, it ain't oil. Do I have elite builds for the ISM? We can do elite build on anything. We just recently did a X15 elite. We can do it to anything. We're actually getting ready to do 4 or 5 of them here in a couple of days. We have 2 balanced kits already here. One's being balanced right now. Did I say white smoke for burning oil? Yes, I did. Go dump some oil down your exhaust system and fire it up, and it will billow white smoke like you've never seen in your life. All right, back to the callers. You're on the air. What can we do for you? Hello.
So I've got 2 B models here. One's in my 007 Kenworth. One's a 4MG, the one that's in the truck, and the other one I got here is a 3ZJ. And I bought this parts motor for the Jake housings. This other motor has the set of Super Jakes, the 349As, and I'm trying to swap them into my 4MG, which has the 346Bs. And I just want to make sure there's nothing else I'm missing if I have to do anything in the rocker assembly to switch them over. I know the housings are slightly different, and the 349s have just slightly longer bolts, but that's because the housings are a little bit deeper. But just the two rear mounting points are different, so I'll have to swap those. But other than that, it looks like it's fairly cut and dry. But
the thing you got to watch out for on the Bs is some of them come with numerated washers, right? So they have like A, B, and C, and you got to have that stack in the right correlation to get the right distance. That's really
right.
That's really the only concern is your valve train setup has to all correlate correctly so the height is right.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, they're technically kind of all the same. You can go from, take a set and go from place to place to place. So we've taken a lot of engines over the years, including B models that didn't have Jakes, and put them on. And it all comes down every time to having all the spacers correctly. So if you have a working model in front of you, you're just going to transfer all that over to the other one. You're basically going to be problem free. You just if you have, and they're not all the same. Some of them have, some of them don't have any kind of correlating spacers, and some of them do. So if you're dealing with one that's like an ABC, just make goddamn sure you put it all back together the way it's supposed to go, because those spacer thicknesses are super crucial.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know if the 2 valve covers that bolt on top of the head, if you had to swap the whole cover over with it, or if the covers are all pretty much the same.
Yeah. I mean, they're all the same into themselves. You see what I'm saying? It may not be the same as this set or the same as this set, but it's the same as itself. So as long as you're moving the whole assembly over, there's no problem.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's all I'm doing. I've got the one sitting here on the floor, and the other one's still in the truck. I'm going to pull it and do a rebuild on it, but I was just going to swap them all. I got both sitting right here, just kind of, like you said, just swap them from one to the other, and should be fairly trouble-free.
Yep. And then your lash settings should be, you should be able to correlate the lash setting, off of horsepower and Jake model number, and be fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, all right, man.
That's pretty much it.
Well, good luck, brother. Yep. Bye.
Alrighty. Thank you.
Hey, I saw Charlie jumped into the chat. How you doing, Charlie? We sent Charlie at Pure Diesel Repair a block and a crank and one of our kits and some rods. Told me got them all today. Kind of excited to do a little project with them. If you don't know, Charlie and I were neighbors for many years. Good guy. Consider him a good friend of mine. So Glad to have you. I see you guys are arguing there about whether fuel makes black smoke or white smoke. Fuel unequivocally makes black smoke. Oil makes white smoke. Let's put it to bed, guys. That's just the way it works. John Redmond, you're on the air, brother. What can we do for you?
So I have a X15, and the back valve cover bolts keep rattling loose, even Loctite on them.
What engine is it again?
X15.
And the valve cover bolts keep rattling loose.
Yep.
Well, that's
It's the third valve cover gasket that I've put on it. It's turned up to 6 1/4, and like I said, this will be the third one in less than a year I've put on it.
Well, I don't think it has anything to do with the fact that it's turned to 6 1/4, but I would guess that you probably need to tap the holes and do Healy coils, or the I can't remember the name of the ones that we use. They're not actually Healy coils. They're thread fixers, but it's probably didn't get torqued in the very, at one of these times, and it's just not holding anymore because it probably wore it out from being loose, and you're gonna have to tap them out. We have to, Tim certs, time certs or whatever. That's what we use. Those are badass. But you're gonna have to do something like that, and the problem will go away.
Okay. And then another problem I'm having is fuel mileage. I can't figure out where all my fuel mileage is going. I'm down to 3.6 miles per gallon.
Well, it could be a huge combination of things, right? But if you used to get good fuel mileage and doesn't now, is that the case?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
And
was getting 6.5.
right. And then we put a tune on it, and now it's getting horrible fuel mileage. There's one correlation, right?
No. Well, no, it had the tune on it, and I was getting 6.5.
Okay. So if we were getting
And all of a sudden,
and how much oil are we having to put in it?
so I'm not using oil. In between oil changes, I'm changing it every 15,000. I'm not having no problems.
Well, you're having a problem. You're not getting any fuel mileage. So
Well, right.
So if we're certain it's not because all of our horsepower in crankcase left with only a few things like
Injector problem.
I don't. It'd almost have to be. And
Sure.
if you got it turned up too
Let's
high,
go back.
you might not even notice.
Okay. Just going back into Peterbilt in the morning to get another valve cover gasket put on it, and there's going to do a valve lash adjustment. So,
Well, I would probably quit doing valve cover gaskets and fix the damn thing. I mean, 3 times. It's not going to work this time either.
well, the last time they took and put helicals in it. So,
well,
they don't know what the hell this is. The mechanic over there is like, I've never seen this happen before.
No, it's not really something. I mean, we see it more on cats than anything, but maybe they didn't do a good job. I'm not sure, man. But
yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate your insight, and tell your kids I said hi.
Yes, sir. Will do. Appreciate you. Thank you.
They always take care of me. I always order parts from y'all.
Oh, cool, man. I appreciate it. You have a good night, man.
You too.
Bye. Somebody said, I'd like to know how the inertia, how oil gets on top of the pistons with the inertia of the combustion chamber. Yeah, that's what I've been trying to say. It doesn't. That's not a thing. It is a thing that people in this industry believe, but it's not a thing that actually happens. That's not how we consume oil. We're not consuming oil from it going around the rings and going on top of the piston crown. It is from combustion gas going down into the crankcase and burning the oil. All right, you're on the air. Not sure what your name is, but here you are. What can we do for you?
Laredo.
Oh,
Yeah, I got a I got a 379. It's got 2 WS in it. I bought it last summer and brought it back, and it was only a 435 horse, and we tuned it to 550. I'm just curious if there's more I need to do than just tune, being we bumped it that much power.
which engine was it again? Sorry, I always have to ask everybody.
A
2WS?
a 2 WS.
Yeah, so if it was a true 300 and something horsepower, then you can't just take it to a 550. You can take...
No, it was 435.
Oh, 435. So the 435 also requires some upgrades to be able to do that. Your 475 can go to a 550. No problem. Your 435, like your variable horsepower ones and all that, they usually have different piston crowns and stuff like that. Yeah, I would at least check. I would at least, call into CAT and have them cross the two CPLs. Give them your CPL, give them your engine serial number, and ask them if it can just be turned to a 550. I'm pretty sure the answer is no.
I did some calling around, talking to Kenworth and Peterbilt closest to me. They all said that the biggest thing was the turbo, and I did put a full tilt on it. But now I seem to be having heating issues.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm like 99% sure you're dealing with a different piston crown and some other different items.
Sure. So would that be a correlation to why I'm having heating problems?
Certainly.
Sure. Okay. So putting a different intercooler and radiator isn't going to fix my problem then.
You're throwing money at the wrong spot.
Okay. All righty. Well, that was my question. So
yeah, you could call down. You could call down to our call center tomorrow. Give them your engine serial number, and ask them if there's a difference between a rebuild for that and a rebuild for a 550, and they'll be able to tell you if there's two different part numbers. If there is, your question's answered, and you should probably pop it open and throw different pistons in it.
Okay.
I mean, you don't have to buy something from us for us to help you out. I just don't have that information in front of me. Charlie's told me many times.
Sure. No, I understand.
I need to get Cat ET running right here beside me, along with Cummins, and he's probably right. I'd be able to help more people, but anyway, here's what it is. But
sure. That's like I said. I did some calling around. Nobody seemed to really have a good answer for me.
Right, but we kind of specialize in doing CPL jumps, right? So we're definitely going to be able to answer that question.
Okay.
So, all right, brother.
All right. All right, sounds good. Thanks.
Yep, bye. I'm about 99% sure the piston crowns are different in that one. Where do you want to see oil temp on an ISX? Well, that is a highly debated topic. As you know, we have a oil thermostat that dramatically drops the temperature on your oil. But what can they run out and be safe? 235, 240. It's not ruining them. It's pretty freaking hot, but it's not ruining them. We sell an item that brings it down much closer to your coolant. It's a very popular item, but are you damaging the engine when it's running up there? No, you're not. I would make the case that you're degrading your oil quicker, but you're not necessarily damaging your engine by default. My heavy haul trucks that I had in Alaska, they would have oil temp gauges on them that showed 235 as being the top that you could possibly take the oil before they wanted you to take evasive action to try and bring the temperature down. And so it's always amazed me that your Cummins run at 235 as a normal day. I'm never like, holy shit. Anyhow, back to the callers here. Kennedy, what can we do for you, brother?
Yeah, hi. I have a 2000. I'm looking at buying a 2012 cat truck. It's a CT660 with a CT13 in it. I'm just curious on what you know about the engines on them.
A CT13?
Yes.
I don't. That doesn't ring a bell with me. I don't know that engine. What you?
Yeah, they're like
What year is it?
2012.
Okay.
It's like a half breed between the International and a cat.
I see guys in the comment section saying to run as fast as you can. Don't buy. Fuck no. Get away from it. There you go. I don't have any insight. I've never dealt with that engine ever. I've never even seen one. Guys are saying you can't get parts. So there you have it. Even cat dealers, even the cat dealers will tell you that truck sucks. So, I got a blown one. Please run. It's junk. There you go, brother. What more do you want?
Right. That's what I was kind of looking for.
All right, man. Well, good luck.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's why we like this show. There's your reason for having the show. Well, we see Hacknation intake and exhaust manifold for the X15s. I hear you guys got something cooking for the 1270 Detroits. We have something cooking for everything, man. We have prototype manifolds. We're just not ready to release them yet. Like that 2WS Elite that we just fired up. We have, that's our manifold. That was made for us. We're just, we're trying to be innovative in this and that, but if you hurry too much, because you want to just have everything and be competitive in the market, and then you have to tweak stuff and change stuff, it just isn't good. You know what I mean? So we technically have manifolds already. We're testing different coatings on them. We may end up doing the glacier coating that everybody does. We kind of want to be different, but testing the coatings takes time. You got to run them. You got to see if they rust out. You got to see all these different things. So the guys that are making our manifolds, though, freaking badass. So yes, we will have manifolds here soon. We kind of technically already do. We're just not releasing them yet. So absolutely, man. Putman, you're on the air, brother. What can we do for you? Hello. Yeah, it's you, brother. What can we do for you?
Hey, are you familiar much with the 3412 engine?
No, sir.
All right, I had a Marine 3412 with about 240 hours on a complete out of frame. Sent the mechanics up to run the overhead on it, and got up there and they thought they had a busted valve bridge, and pulled the head off, and ended up having 2 cylinders, one on each side, completely melted. Engine was still running, but 2 cylinders completely gone. And I'm trying to figure out if would have been injection pump, bad valves in the heads. They were cat heads. They weren't ones that we remanned ourselves. So I'm kind of wanting to know where I should look down this rabbit hole to find out how did 2 pistons melt on opposite sides of the engine.
Well, so some quick questions so I can familiarize myself with the engine a little bit more. Are they aluminum crowns or are they steel crowns?
Steel crown.
Okay, and define melted.
It literally melted the piston. I mean, there was he literally picked the piston out of the bottom of the oil pan, and there were just pieces there. It was completely gone. Not just put holes in the top. Literally melted.
Okay, so you can't really melt a steel piston. You can really only.
Oh, I'm sorry. The piston was aluminum. I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay.
I misunderstood what you're asking.
Okay. So we can only.
No, it was an aluminum piston.
Okay. So we can only really melt pistons one of 2 ways, technically. We either weren't getting oil to the piston from the bottom, or our intake air got so hot that the combustion chamber got so hot it melted the piston. And it's usually the latter that happens. Is this thing naturally aspirated, or is it turbocharged?
Turbo, single turbo.
Single turbo. And it's a marine engine.
Yep. Marine engine. Yep. And we sent the turbo in. They put a cartridge in it, and so that had been taken care of. But I'm just trying to figure out. We went to Marine Systems, got another cat engine, dropped it in, and it's been running fine for the last 300 hours. So we're just kind of trying to figure out on this engine, when we go to tear it back down, where should we start looking?
Well, you need
to find out where did this go wrong.
You need to determine if the failure happened from the top or the bottom, because it can only be one of those 2. You don't melt the piston any other way, right? And you're really, when we melted the piston, is our rod completely burnt up and all that kind of stuff as well, or did we just melt the aluminum out of the piston? And that's kind of your
just melted the aluminum out of the piston, as far as I know.
Then it came from the top. We had an intake air temperature problem. Where if this was an on highway, we'd say, well, the driver was lugging the shit out of it, right? How do you do that in a boat? This thing was burnt up from not from the top.
Lugging on a boat would be like getting a rope wrapped around the propeller or something.
No, sure.
Something like that.
I'm very familiar with boats, and we do a lot of marine engines, and I own boats, right? I understand all that. It just putting in layman's terms is always easier in on highway application, and you got to remember, this
is the only
sorry, go
cat engine in our shop that we've rebuilt. We do the KTA engines. That's what 90% of our boats have.
Okay.
And so I'm just kind of trying to figure out, was there a fuel pump issue? But like you said, it's most likely a heat issue.
I mean, I seriously doubt it's a fuel pump issue isolated to a couple of pistons, right? And those pistons, were they across from each other?
They were across from each other, yes.
Right. And there's
second one back on both sides.
Yeah, there's a correlation there too, as the intake air comes in or something. I almost guarantee they're side by side for a reason. I don't know what your failure's from, but I would certainly be looking top side air issue. For some reason, our intake air was way too fucking hot.
Okay, so well, that's good to know, Aaron. I appreciate it, and appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
All right, brother. Good luck, man. I mean, that's my opinion. hypothetically speaking, asking for a friend, is it possible to swap out a Packard with a cat? Yeah, man, we do it all the time. There's a big argument whether it's legal or not. I've explained the case for why I don't think that the EPA can stop you from doing that legally. It's the engines that are regulated. As long as you're not changing the emissions on an engine, then you're not actually doing anything illegal. Excalibur's a dipstick. Why are we talking about Excalibur? Anyway. Engine swap, 60 series, a place of an X15. What can we do for you, brother?
Hi, my name's Adam. We run a small trucking company up here over the road. We got a fleet of international LTs, all with X15 Cummins. Recently had one blow a hole through the block, and kicking around the idea, I got a 60 series I in-framed, and the truck is falling apart. It's the 12.7 DDEC 4, and I've been calling around like Custom Truck and some of these different places for like a wire harness, you know, to make it work in a newer truck. And I'm kind of striking out, as everyone kind of tells me the international is hard for whatever reason with the like multiplex and different wiring to make all the gauges work and stuff. And I was just wondering if you know someone or have dealt with someone that could help me get a wiring harness to make Detroit work in a 2020 International LT.
Well, here's the thing. There's a couple of things to think about. Number one, there's not enough value in that truck for the amount of money you're going to spend to do that. An International is not worth doing an engine swap on. That's number one.
All right. I mean, it's a pretty clean truck. I mean, we were getting about 900,000 pretty reliably out of these X15s, and then usually the truck stopped by then. But this one blew up kind of early, and I got the motor sitting around. It ain't gonna cost me anything. You know, it's already rebuilt. I just gotta put it in, you know. But
you're making it sound.
I kind of thought it might be worth.
You're making it sound simple, and it's not. Your motor mount, your cooling package, your air-to-air, all of these things are not compatible, and it's a major undertaking. You're doing a major swap. A repower it's a huge undertaking. You're making it sound simple, and it's just simply not, right? You're gonna be into this thing a lot more money than you're thinking. And the fact that, you know, custom trucks, hands down, the most expansive resource and the best place to go for this type of stuff. I won't even fucking do one if Custom Truck isn't supporting it for me, right? It's just 2.5. I've done several swaps without Custom Truck, and these days I won't. You know, if we're not going to involve Custom Truck, I don't want to help you with it. You know what I mean? Because I just know better. We're going to spend weeks just trying to make stuff work. But so the reality of it is, you know, when the most common phone call we get throughout the week, and it's dozens of phone calls every week, is guys calling wanting to do an engine repower with us. And I talk 99% of those people out of doing it. And it's because I understand what they're getting into. And, you know, guys will call with a Freightliner Cascadia, and they want to take the DD15 out and put a cat in. And I'm like, no, you don't. You're going to be into this thing $70,000 fucking dollars, and the truck's only worth 18 grand, right? Well, that's kind of the scenario with your International. That International doesn't have any value on the market, right? So let's say you did this swap and everything works out, and of course you're intending to keep it, but it has no value outside of your own personal perceived value. Is I want to keep this truck, and there's nothing wrong with that, because value technically is subjective, right? So if it's value to you, sure, go ahead and do it. But it doesn't, in the real world, it doesn't fiscally make sense to do that with that truck. You're going to be into this thing so many more man hours and monies than you're giving it credit for.
Okay.
But
it's just, we haven't had it that long, and
where can you go to, you have a question that I haven't answered. Where can you go to get support for that? I don't know. If Custom Truck turned you down, and I do know what they're talking about with the wiring problems there. I don't know who you're going to find that's going to help you overcome that, right? So you're probably hosed anyway. I'm just trying to encourage you to. You're probably lucky that you're getting hosed, because you were going to get into this thing and figure out a way bigger shit show than you thought it was going to be.
Yeah, well, I mean, it windowed the block, so I'm a block and a crank into it. I can't rebuild it, so I just kind of figured I got to either find a motor out of a wrecked truck, or I go that route, like another X15, or do that. And I just kind of in the beginning stages of it. I've swapped Series 60s into older trucks, like in place of Mercedes and old Western Stars and stuff. And I've used Custom Truck, and there was some screwing around, like you were saying, making the hoses fit and stuff like that. But it went relatively smooth. And this is a manual truck. Some of ours are automatics, and I figured it'd go a little easier. But
yeah, but the key word there is you said you use Custom Truck, and everything seemed to go pretty smooth. I mean, I agree with you.
Yeah, true.
Right?
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Now take them out of the equation and go try it. You're in for a whole nother ride.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll probably end up looking for a block and a crank, or just a Holden motor or whatever. But
yeah, I mean, in reality, you'd probably be time and money ahead.
Okay.
Oh.
All right. Well, thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Yep. Have a good night, man, and good luck.
Yep. You too. Thank you. Bye.
Have I ever thought about getting in the tire game? Brother, man, we've been in we were in the tire game. I had the maintenance contract for the Halliburton sand chassis for like 3 or 4 years, and they would have 80, 100, 120 of them at my property. And I had to provide the tires for all those. The contract was I provided everything. And so I had an awesome contract for tires, and I'm buying tires on an unprecedented scale for sand chassis. So because of that, my purchasing power for tires was, I could purchase tires incredibly cheap. Was I getting my tires from China? No, they had some pretty strict rules about the tires we had to use. And this is also during Trump's first term, and the tariffs made Chinese tires basically the same price as American made tires. So, I'm not going to say we never sold a Chinese tire, but it wasn't like part of the equation. We would carry whatever. But because of that, I would carry, 24 5s, 22 5s for trucks and all of that. So we were in the tire game. At my shop in North Dakota, you come there at any given time, down the side of our shop, we might have $100,000 in tires sitting there. And we were doing tires around the clock. My sons, Matthew and Jacob, that own Bennett Truck Center, they would work around the clock with 2 of their buddies doing nothing but tires for me for a couple of years straight. So, yeah, we've been in the tire game. Anyway, I'm a kind of a tire connoisseur. I certainly have favorite tires. My favorite steer tire is a Continental HSR2. That's the only tire I would put on the steers of any of my trucks. I love those. You can use them, once you wear them out on the steer, you can throw them on a trailer, run them out the rest of the way. Then you can cap those 5 times. So what I would do is run HSR2s on the steers, run them out the rest of the way on the trailer, cap them for drives, cap them again for drives, and then cap them 3 more times for trailers. So man, you can just get 7 uses out of a Continental HSR2. Just such a badass tire, man. I mean, they're incredibly expensive up front, but if you do it right, they're worth every penny. All right, Larry, you're on the air with us, brother. What can we do for you?
How you doing?
Good, man.
Quick question. Purchased a truck, first truck. I've been driving for like 28 years now. Decided to go purchase my own, and I don't know why, but you know, that's just what we do. It's 2011 12 Peterbilt 389 with a pack car, EPA 10 in it. And it's the 500. It has 700 hours on the motor since complete rebuild, 83,000 miles, somewhere in there, something like that. Heard a bunch of nightmare stories about the EPA 10s, but then again, I've heard really, really good stories about the EPA 10 pack car. Just kind of wanting to get an outlook on that for parts availability, diagnostics, what your outlook is on that motor.
Well, I mean, I personally think the EPA 13 was a better engine. You know, they kind of improved it quite a bit when they went to the 13, but there's a lot of guys that swear by the 10s. You know, I don't know a lot of guys personally that ran the 10. I have friends that run nothing but the 13s, and they love them, of course. But your EPA 10, it certainly doesn't have. I am not that familiar with it. I'm very familiar with the 13, and have some familiarity with the one after it. But the 10, I don't know that much about. I just know that they don't have the best reputation, and it's the only thing that would worry me about it is that it's on a rebuild, right? I know from the factory, the odds of that thing getting longevity, you know, when it rolled off the lot, you know, from PACCAR, it was probably a pretty good engine, right? Is it going to continue to be a good engine, you know, now that it's had 1 million miles on it and it's on a rebuild? That I don't have any data for. Some of the guys here in the comments sections are saying, you know, they're not great. Glenn Long, who's a respected weekly commenter here, he says the diagnostic software availability really sucks for that one. So it does sound like it's more problematic. Yeah. So, man, it's really kind of.
And this motor here, when it went through its rebuild, it had, it says here that it had 429,850 miles on it, and due to rebuild was because it had a constant water leak in the cylinder 5 from the block, and it was a manufacturer's defect. They sent a new motor to Peterbilt.
Yep.
And that's where the work got done. All they did was, I think they reused crank and rods. Everything else was all from Peterbilt. Head, everything got sent from PACCAR.
Yep. There you go. Yeah, cam recall on the EPA 10 was a huge problem. I am familiar with that. You're probably fine, to be honest with you. So here's the only problem I have with PACCAR, right? Is your PACCARs tend to be high mileage engines, and for the most part, all around a good investment. The problem is if it ends up not being a good investment, you really are kind of fucked, because there's just, you know, you get hosed down by any place that's going to work on it.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, the truck is an absolutely beautiful 389, 280-inch wheelbase, flat top sleeper. I bought the original old man that owned it. It's pristine with 470,000 on it. Yeah. And I got it cheap enough where I almost had to have it. I wanted a Cummins, but you know.
Well, go make some money with it, and when she blows up, give us a call. We'll slam a Cummins in it for you.
That's what I was thinking.
Right. Go.
So,
I mean,
all righty, man. Well,
all right, man. Well, good luck.
yep. Thank you very much for your info.
Yep. Bye. Oh, yeah. Man, I would not want to own a PACCAR. I'm just putting it out there. I would not want to own a PACCAR. But you guys have probably heard me say a million times, no one can argue that they're not a great engine. They consistently, not every single one of them ever made. You have to look at it as a group. They consistently get 1 million miles before they take a shit. And that's what engines are supposed to do. And so if they do it, you can't say they're not a good engine, So I grudgingly always point out that the PACCAR is a good engine, despite not liking them very much. It's the rich man's engine when they break down. Yeah, I mean that's my point. I wouldn't want to own one when it has a problem for sure. But oh man, excuse me, guys. Man, I'm tired all of a sudden. Shoot, we still got a whole hour to go. I probably should have started the show early. Oh, I missed you guys. Yeah, I don't want to apologize. We're going to get back to the callers. Hang on, guys. 1 second. And I wanted to apologize for last week. I wasn't here. My wife and I were out of the country. So, and I didn't even think about it. We took off out of the country, and then my wife was like, you're going to miss the show. Like, oh my God, I didn't even think I should have made a video or something. But anyway, anybody that tuned in, I wasn't here. Apologize for that. M14 coolant issues. What can we do for you?
There, it's cool. Yeah, I got M14 5 1/4. Been having some high coolant temps in the mountains. I've done thermostat a couple times, oil thermostat, because oil temp was running like 250 all the time. Got oil temp taken care of, but the fan will not keep it cool. I keep shifting down where it'd pull faster than what I was going, but it would run like 225, sometimes a little bit more. It's got a brand new 4-core radiator in it, charged air cooler. Fan hub's good. Water pump's 6 months old. Just kind of running out of ideas.
Well, I mean, you've kind of already said the problem, right? Our oil's getting. Let's just take you for what you said. Our oil is uncontrollably hot, 250 degrees. That is hot as fuck, right? You put a
I changed the oil thermostat. That took care of the oil problem.
I understand.
That runs 225.
I understand, but just hear me out. You probably masked the problem. You didn't fix the problem, because our coolant is getting exceptionally hot as well, and we cannot cool it down even with the fan running. So the two problems were probably related to each other the entire time, because you got to remember your coolant's what cools the oil. So our oil was getting way too hot, right? And our coolant's way too hot. There's obviously something's been compromised. We have a cylinder head that's bad, or we have a head gasket that's blown out, or something. For some reason, you're getting combustion gas into the cooling system somehow. The only other alternative that maybe that's not happening is we're getting combustion gas into the crankcase, and that's why our oil is getting so hot. But that wouldn't explain the coolant getting hot, right? So as soon as you said we're getting hot coolant as well, right. Have you done a combustion gas test, bottle test? Not checking for bubbles. Have you put the chemical on there to see if it changes color?
I have not done that one yet. I did do the bottle test on it.
Okay, so
I didn't.
I try and preach this on this show that the bottle test is not a test. No one should ever do it. It's a waste of your time. The bottle test is not a thing.
Yep.
And everybody likes to do it. And it doesn't get anybody anywhere because it's not an accurate metric for anything at all. You need to go to Napa or go on Amazon and order the kit. That's the blue liquid that will turn green if you have combustion gas, and do that test. I would do that before I did anything else. I would not throw a dime at this thing until I have done that. And I'm betting that you're going to turn green, and we're going to have to rip some heads off and figure out what happened. We either need a cylinder head or we need a head gasket.
Sure. All right. That makes sense. And that's kind of what I was kind of wondering with that. But wasn't sure if that was the next move or not. But yeah, I'll definitely order that.
It almost always correlates to some prior event. I mean, you could probably figure it out without even getting that test just by thinking back in your memory. Any time in the last 6 months or so, have you had anything where you had to add coolant to this for any reason at all? Like any reason at all, if you had to add the coolant for this, heater, hose, who knows what? And if the answer is yes, you already know. You can even just skip the stupid test and move on to figuring out which head's ruined, pretty much, or all of them. Maybe.
Right, and I have not had any. I mean, I've had a couple drips of coolant from a loose clamp, but I've not lost all the coolant at any given point.
No, you don't need
to wear it.
So you don't need to
it
lose.
got except
you don't need to lose all your coolant. It just has to get low enough that there's adequate coolant not making it to the cylinder heads, which is only a couple gallons.
Right. Yep. Sure.
That's why.
Right.
That's why. I try and get you to correlate. Have you had to add coolant for any reason at all? And if your answer is yes, I had to add 2 gallons or 3 gallons or whatever because this happened or that happened or whatever, you kind of have your answer. Because it doesn't take long, man. It doesn't take long, and those heads are fucking done.
Yep.
No.
All right.
All right, brother. Well,
appreciate it.
Yep. Good luck, man.
Thank you.
Yep.
Bye.
Getting a diagnostic that's painful really in the end saves guys a lot of money because they're not throwing all kind, I'm going to do an oil cooler and a compressor and this and that and the other, just trying to avoid what the real problem is. Do I recommend Lorenzo's oil for a 6.7 Power Stroke, or can I purchase it from you versus Insane Diesel? Well, we don't sell Lorenzo's oil. We started out doing Lorenzo. That deal. Friendly though, blender. They have a blender make that oil, and the price is too high, and we're having to we're having to charge too much, even at their recommended resale. So we're getting our oil directly from a blender, so we could be more competitive. Our real dispute with them, just so you guys know, is they came to us and then offered to make us this special blend of oil and all that and make it this break-in oil if we would do a deal with them, and they would make us bypass systems. And they brought all the products. We checked them all. Great products. There's no problems with any of them, and they were willing to make me the petroleum products I wanted. But we debuted them, and they were wildly successful. And so they started making demands that they put their name on it alongside ours. And so we just weren't willing to do that. And so we had to end our little agreement with them. And now we're directly with a blender. So the oil is the same. We just cut out the middleman. We were really doing the deal with them for the bypass system. So it's, you know, the oil was a side. No, they wanted us to do the bypass and we wanted the oil. So anyway, kind of is what it is, you know. It's how the market works. You got to maneuver and wheel and deal, so you can get the end user the best product for the best price. You know, is what it is. But yeah, they're great guys, great products. We may switch to a different oil bypass though. We're probably going to switch to a different oil bypass because we're seeing quite a bit lowered oil pressure from using that bypass. And I think I mean, I love the fact that it's so robust. It gives us so much area for contamination. I like that about it, but we're seeing, you know, 6-7 pound drop when we hook them up. So kind of making us a little nervous. We're not putting anybody in the danger zone, but man, that's a lot. That's a lot. So you know, we've been testing out some other ones. Haven't shaken our faith in bypass systems by any stretch of the imagination, but man, if we're gonna be putting our name on something, we want to make sure that we're doing the best thing for the end user for sure. I thought Hacknation was making his own oil. I swear you guys don't listen to anything I'm saying. I'm literally telling you that we have our own blender. Right? In fact, in 2 weeks, I'll be releasing a bunch of videos showing you guys our time at the lab, working with them to improve and create our oils. So your oil pressure didn't change. I got it on my 2WA. And I'm not saying that everybody's oil pressure was going to change. But we've seen that, you know, we put a lot of them on, right? And I don't know if you used one of the big rig ones. Their big rig ones are pretty massive. And we've seen a pretty big oil pressure change on everyone that we put them on. And it's a little concerning. So I'm not going to sit here and say everybody that puts one of these on is going to have an oil pressure change, but pretty much 100% of the ones that we put on, we had an oil pressure change, and I just don't like that. It's a little worrisome. So anyway, you have 200,000 on your bypass oil samples, and it's been great. I mean, yeah, man, I'm not sitting here trying to knock on an oil bypass system, whether it's Lorenzo's or you know, the one they were making for us or anybody. The oil bypass is the way to go. I highly recommend anybody does it, no matter where they get them from us, get them from anyone. So I'm not walking that back. It's I have seen enough evidence from working on trucks with oil bypass systems that it's kind of a must in my opinion. Daniel, you're on the air, brother. What can we do for you? Thanks for hanging on.
Yes, sir. Not a problem. Just ordered a QSX15 kit from Bennett Truck Center through Austin. Want to shout out to him. Awesome experience. But I know I've been talking to you over the past couple of weeks, possibly about Alliant injectors and issues. And they're 4 to 6 weeks backed up on warranty issues. Have you had that type of problem with Alliant?
Well, so we don't use Alliant for injectors. It's kind of funny, man. Alliant makes a lot of injector parts for a lot of injector remanufacturers. And you would think that would kind of equate to they're going to have one of the best injectors, but I haven't seen that to be the case.
I've seen that too. And when they tell me they're backed up 4 to 6 weeks, that automatically tells me that they've got more issues than correct injectors. So I'm still trying to find a supplier other than Alliant, and they're 75% of the market.
Right. I mean, we for cat injectors, we use Torque right now until we find something different. And again, I've talked about this lots of times. We rate our injectors on, we'll pick up a line of injectors, and we kind of base it on two criteria. Number one, what is our failure rate? And we kind of have a threshold. If we're like under 7, 5, 6, 7%, that's a great injector in today's market, right?
Definitely.
And then the secondary thing is okay on that 5, 6, 7%. How did the manufacturer treat us? Was it okay? Let's get the end user an injector and solve his problem, or is it this bullshit process of buy an injector and we'll talk to you in 6 months whether we figure out if the injector was actually bad? So
that's where I'm at. So this one actually melted a piston, and we still haven't figured out the issue. And everything checks out great mechanical. The valves checked out great. The head checked out great. Airflow checked out great. It was centralized on a number 1 injector hole. Actually looked like a blowtorch melted the piston.
Yep.
And we still can't figure it out.
I've been making a few videos kind of talking down on AFA a little bit, and part of my grudge with them is over their injectors. They convinced us to pick up their injector line, and we sold about 150,000 of their injectors, and plus I used about 10 sets here, and we had about a 40%, probably about a 40% failure rate on them. And at our offices at Bennett Truck Center, there is mountains of injectors, and I mean mountains and mountains of injectors that they just refuse to warranty.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. So I can feel you. I'm not having that problem with Alliant, but I have that problem with AFA's injectors. We only carried them for about 3 months, but it was about 6 months too long. It was a big mistake.
Yeah. So that's what I was telling you. I overhaul 40 to 50 engine a year by myself, and like you said, I bust ass. And yes, I do not do math, but like I bust my ass.
Yep.
So, and that's where I'm at. So, this engine is costing me time, and I'm just going to pay for it all and be done. I can't be down for 6 months waiting on an injector test, and that's where they're at.
Oh yeah, I mean that $150,000 worth of junk injectors sitting at our offices, we took care of every one of those customers. We sent them all new injectors.
Oh, definitely.
We're just the ones left holding the bag. We weren't going to let AFA fuck our name up. Forget that.
See, that's the way my customer is right now. He's like, I'm not going to let you eat this all. I was like, it's not your problem. It's not your issue.
Yep.
He said, I don't care. You've been a great provider for us. I was like, you'll never know how much it's going to cost me. So I'm going to take care of it.
I'll be honest with you.
I've got to.
I've been in three different fuel shops, and watched injectors be built. And I've spent a couple days in different fuel shops watching the process. And I can tell you unequivocally that Interstate McBee is probably the best injector manufacturer out there right now. The problem is they don't build it. They don't build any C15 injectors. It's like the only injector they don't do. And why do I say they're the best out there? Because they're the only ones doing them brand new. Everybody else is remanufacturing them. They're not remanufacturing them. They're making them brand new. And they do all of it in-house.
Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was going to get with y'all about finding some injectors for this John Deere engine. And I'm so far behind that I've got to get with y'all and get those. But my deal is, and I'm hoping y'all can come up with some John Deere injectors. That's my main source. And I did this QSX15. Like I said, I dealt with Austin. Great experience. But going back to one of the last callers talking about the oil temperature and coolant temperature, has he had a tune put on it that might cause coolant temperature and oil temperature issues?
I seriously doubt it on an N14 because there's just not a lot of stuff out there like that.
Not a lot of things. I'm new to truck engines, and I'm trying to learn as much as I can about truck engines. So I've been dealing with tractor engines for. I've been in the business since 1997, so been a minute. So
yeah,
truck engines is new.
I think we have everything for John Deere, man. You just have to give us a call. I'm pretty sure. I know that I do a lot of John Deere.
I will. I'll call off.
Yep. All right, brother.
Yeah. So I deal with Absolute on my John Deere engine kits, but if y'all can beat the price, I will definitely give it a shout. But the injectors is just hard to come along by.
Yeah. Well, yeah. At least let them.
That's my issue.
At least let them quote you out.
Definitely. Well, I sure appreciate it. Y'all have a good night.
You too, man. Bye.
Thank you.
CJ says they're only human. Downtime sucks, but they do absolutely honor their warranties. Who are we talking about? I don't see who you're talking about. Interstate McBee used to make C15 injectors. No, they didn't. They have other people build them for them. It's kind of like, what's the name of that company that does the big cam injectors? Premco. Premco makes the best N4 or big cam injectors, and they also sell N14 injectors. They're not theirs. They sell Interstate McBees and put their name on them. I probably need to quit telling you guys all this shit. Everybody's gonna be like, I don't know where to buy anything. But it's just the way that the market works, man. No one can produce everything. So everybody, works with each other to it's kind of like Diesel Cast and Jera and APC. Everybody's will ask me, what do you think about APC? What do you think about Diesel Cast? And well, they're all the same. Jera makes all of them, right? What? Oh, you're replying to Mike's. To be honest, we just got an engine from y'all today, and I was kind of let down. The engine showed up today, and the cam gear is loose. Well, give us a call so we can figure out what's going on there. That's what you were replying to. Glenn says, called the boys today and getting an ISM dropped off for a build. Right on, man. Well, I don't know where you're out of, Glenn. Are you out of Texas here, or where are you out of? Let's get back to the callers. We still have quite a few on hold here. We should probably start winding down the calls as we're getting close. Got 38 minutes left. But Ryan, you're on the air, brother. What can we do for you?
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, good. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I got a a 17 Peterbilt 389 with an X15. I bought, and I got it rebuilt, deleted, tuned, put a PAI kit in it. I'm having an issue where I keep getting a fuel metering rail pressure code, injector metering rail pressure code, and I also keep getting now started to get a engine fuel leakage code. Had it in the shop a bunch of times. They did the testing on it and so on and so forth, and I kind of came to the point to where I almost felt like we were throwing parts at it. We threw, check valve, sensor, you name it. We even came down to, they said that they had one bad injector, replaced that, and then came down to saying that we ended up putting a $6,000 high pressure fuel pump in it, and none of it has fixed the problem. Don't know what to do here. I got different opinions, of course, from everybody you talk to. One person says the tune, another person says he thinks that the injectors are returning too much fuel, and it's just it happens to not be doing it.
We didn't kind of throw money at it. We absolutely threw money at it.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
I'm pretty sure those codes that you're getting usually correlate back to injector problems.
Yeah, the one guy was saying he figured if it was him, he would assume that it'd be the injectors returning too much fuel, but not consistently to find it during the tests that they do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's maybe what your opinion is on that, but
well, here's my opinion, and it's what Glenn Long just said in the comment section. And it's the latter part of his comment. He says it's excessive return fuel will cause this. It needs to be diagnosed properly. And it's the second part of his comment that's the important one. It needs to be diagnosed properly. Whoever is diagnosing this is not doing a good job. It is most likely
that's what I've been gathering.
Right, you're but to the tune of thousands of dollars, literally. Right.
Yeah, exactly. The fuel pump is what really set me over the edge. I was not enthused about that one, especially when the codes came back afterwards.
Right. So, it needs to be diagnosed properly, and there's the wonderful things about Cummins is, it gives you a code. That code's going to have a procedure.
Right.
And that procedure is going to narrow this down.
Yeah.
And we're not going to spend a bunch of money. You should have been able to figure out the problem from the beginning, honestly.
Correct. And that's what I was, telling them. I was like, the keeping that test, apparently I've heard from a couple of people that 559, that injector metering pressure is like the worst code Cummins had, because it gives you a novel things you got to check. And I don't know, they've done it every time the truck's been in there, and I'm assuming, like your opinion, it's not being done right because it's still not fixed.
Yeah, you need to go to a different shop probably, because
I wish you were still in North Dakota, because that's where I'm at.
Well, so here's the thing, man, is Cummins are the most ridiculously easy engines to diagnose and fix, because they literally they're set up for you to they're set up to where the end user, like just a random dude, as long as he can get into Insight, can troubleshoot and fix the truck. So the fact that we're throwing asshole amounts of money at it and we have codes, tells me that this thing is somebody just doesn't give a fuck because it's your wallet, right?
Yeah, that's what I've kind of gathered too.
Glenn says it requires an investment in some tooling to diagnose properly, but he's out of shop, right? He's out of shop. And that's kind of my point.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah, it was the same. It was the same place that put it together. I mean, I brought it back, thinking that that's kind of their baby now in a way. And
right, but here's the thing. What I'm trying to tell you is, you could go on Insight, look up these codes or QuickServe or whatever, and figure out what's going on and see the steps that it requires. Now, those steps might take tooling you don't have, but I guarantee some of those steps aren't throw fuel pumps on it.
yeah, I know. I do know, Aaron, that in the beginning when it first started doing this, I never did get that fuel leakage code, but I also in the beginning when it would happen, I would lose like power to where I'd start losing mile an hour. I'd have to pull over, shut the truck down, and I'd clear the code, and because I have just a piece of shit code reader, and then it worked just fine, and it'd be going, and then some days it'll be fuck, I could drive 1,400 miles and it wouldn't come on, and then the next day it'll come on 3 times.
Yeah, I have to read this comment.
It's so intermittent.
CJ says it's their baby, but you're paying the child support. Sorry,
yeah, no shit. No, I'm dead. That's how I feel,
That was too good. I had to. Yeah,
but it doesn't do that anymore. It doesn't like lose power, but it'll come on, and it just, like I said, now it has that other code along with it, and now some days it'll come on, some days it won't, and I just don't understand why and what the hell's the problem.
Howie says to go to Advanced Diesel in Fargo and they'll fix it without throwing money at it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. That's funny because I'm literally an hour away from there. I'm in Grand Forks, so.
Yeah, you need to do something like that. Don't go back to the same place.
Right.
Yeah,
I've been avoiding it.
The gentleman's name is Howie. He says that that you know him. He was there when all your work was being done.
I have no idea, I guess.
Well, anyway, neither here nor there.
Right. No, I appreciate it. So, but your opinion, you think it may be like a injector returning?
What I think is it's
like
something,
too much fuel.
I think that it's something that is simple and should have been fixed a long time ago, and you need to go somewhere better.
Okay. Alrighty. No, I really appreciate it, and I'll try that at Advanced Diesel in Fargo.
Yep. All right, brother. Well, let us know what happened.
All right.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.
All right. I don't want to be stuck here way past the time, so we're going to cut off the phone lines. We got 4 more people on hold. We'll get to all you guys for sure. But after number 17 here, we're not going to take any more calls. I do appreciate all the people that did call. Excuse me. We'll just jump right back into it. Jake Briggs on a dual ISX, dual cam ISX. What can we do for you, brother?
How's it going?
Good. What can we do for you?
Yeah, owner op that's got a dual cam ISX, and it's been deleted, tuned and deleted, and it's got like a 60 series Detroit turbo on it or something. Well, anyways, he's not getting any Jake power, and I know there's a camshaft they sell for it, but he says they'll come in, and as soon as it gets warm, they go completely away, and then they're like not even existent.
Yeah, Jake's always worked better when they're cooler. The oil's thicker, but and yeah, there is a camshaft. You could call down to our call center, and the guys could get you squared away on that. We have them, but If you're losing all of your jakes, that could be a cause for concern, just so you know. What's our oil pressure at? You know, so, I mean, if you've got it deleted and you're going to lose most of your jakes, especially with the S400 turbo on there. There is a camshaft that can bring those back quite a bit. But if your jake brakes are super related to your oil pressure, two things could be going on. They could need to be rebuilt. They might have some internal issues where they're just passing oil once the oil's thick enough. And the other thing is you could have really low oil pressure once the oil's hot, and it requires decent oil pressure for the jake brakes to work. So a little bit concerning that you're correlating when the oil gets hot, that you're having a dramatic difference. You're going to see some, but you shouldn't see a dramatic difference in the jaking power.
Right. Cruising down the road, warmed up, operating temperature, running about 32, 34 at probably around 1500 RPM.
Yeah, that's a little low.
Okay. And those are, they have about 30,000 miles on them, ATL, all new rockers and shafts.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little low.
A little low.
I don't know why it's a little low.
Okay.
You could shim the pump and bring that up a little bit, do the 80-cent fix. But that masks a possible underlying problem. So it's not the advice I would like to give you.
Right. Well, I also have another question about a single turbo cat. I believe it's a 6NZ. I know a shop that's been having issues with this truck for quite some time. They rebuilt it because it was pushing coolant and put a new head on it. Well, it keeps pushing coolant and it is combustion gas.
Yeah, how long has it been since it was rebuilt?
Well, apparently it did it instantly.
Okay.
And they had to tow it to Cat, and they cut the counterbores, and Caterpillar put the liners in. And they checked the liner protrusion, and they said it's in spec.
So did Cat rebuild it, or Cat just cut the counterbores?
They just cut the counterbores and placed the liners in.
Right. So what happened is they messed up the head gasket when they were putting the head on. If you have instant combustion gas, it's almost always the case.
It's in a long hood Pete, and it's they've had the head off about 3 times.
Oh, so you've had the head off since you had this problem?
Yeah.
So you keep...
They're suspecting the cylinder head.
There's nothing to suspect. It is the cylinder head. If we keep taking the head off, we don't have blown out fire rings, our liner heights are good, the head gasket's not compromised, we didn't crush our water directors, and we're on our 3rd time of putting the head on, and it's on repeat, this head needs to go in the dumpster where it belongs.
Right. They did send it out and have it pressure tested, but they said it wasn't up to coolant temperature,
It can only be the head. I mean, it could be they're fucking it up every single time, but
I would surely hope not.
Let's assume no. Then that leaves us with only one thing: the head's no good.
Makes sense.
Yeah, the definition of insanity.
Yep, that's kind of what I told them.
Yeah, it's definitely the head, but the head.
Yep. Okay.
Well, all right, man.
Well, I appreciate it, sir.
Yep. Good luck with it, man. Yeah.
Have a good one. Bye.
Yep. Bye. Ugh. Yeah, yes, that guy's head's fucked. I mean, after the second time of putting it on, we should have determined that for sure. But I guess, you got to put yourself in the shop shoes. They send it out, they have it tested, it comes back good. But sometimes those cracks and stuff only appear when she gets hot. Sometimes that's the case. And a good machine shop worth their salt will tell you that. N14 with no pulling power. What can we do for you?
How you doing?
Good, man. What's up?
Hello? Oh, I got an M14 and it's a Select Plus. It's a 5 1/4. I got 336 rears to 13 speed, but she just don't pull. She's slow taking off whether I'm loaded or empty, like coming out the hole. And then every time I get in a pull, I'm just downshifting, and I don't know. And I've questioned people about putting a tune in it, but the people that I know who could possibly do it, they don't want to do it.
Yeah, I mean, they shouldn't. So we have to ask you some questions here. Number one, did this truck ever not do that, or has it always been like this?
Well, I originally had an ISX 15 in there, and I put an N14 in there.
Okay, and it's done this ever since you've had the N14 in there?
I had the number 5 bearing spun on me, and I rebuilt it like a couple. It was back in October, but she just seemed like she's lazy.
Yeah, I accidentally
she won't pull.
I accidentally cut you off there, so I wasn't able to hear the first thing you said. Was there ever a time when this N14 was pulling good in this truck?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay, so
I don't believe so. But
let me ask you some more.
Go ahead.
Let me ask you some more questions here. Does it seem to run just fine? Runs great, no problem there. Just won't get out of its own way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Are we building good boost?
Around like 30, 32.
Yeah, that's okay for an M14. So my next question is, and this is the all important question, is what gear ratio does this truck have?
It's a 13 speed with 336 rears.
Okay.
And I got low pro 22s on it.
Okay. And I'm just wondering if your legs are really tall. I mean, once you get up to speed, does it seem to do fine? It's just coming out of the hole and all that.
Coming out of the hole, she's slow. Like, when I'm running like about 75 and I hit a hill, I think she'd do all right. But if I get below, like if I'm doing 65 to 70 and I hit a hill, like she act like she ain't got nothing. Like it don't make sense to me or whatever. But like all the stories I've heard, and every time somebody asks me what's under my hood and I tell them an M14, they'd be like, "Oh, you got a beast under there," and I just look at them and smile and go on about my business. Because it ain't what I've heard.
So, I mean, long story short, the problem that you're having sounds like sounds like you have really tall legs, and and you're expecting it to do more. That's what you're describing. But 373s don't really fit that criteria.
I got 336s.
Oh, 336s. So,
Yes, sir.
when you're what RPM are you at 70 miles an hour in the top hole?
Right at like about 15 and a half or so.
Yeah, and what kind of RPMs do you run the truck at? That's the other thing is the N14s. You have to run them up, right? You can't be shifting at 1400 and shit like that on the N14.
No, I'm shifting probably around like 1600. I probably and
Well, that's still
and like in order to go to
that's still a little too low for the N14. Still a little low for the N14, really. I'd take her up closer to 18, and you might get a lot better results. I mean, you have good boost pressure, and it doesn't sound like you have any runnability issues. Yeah, you might just need to change the way you're driving it. Your ratios aren't so far out that it would, it's like super obvious that that okay, it's just a gear ratio problem. That it might benefit from having some 20 regular 22.5s on it. But your gear ratio is not too tall, so it's not really the problem. It's probably the way it's probably the way you're driving it, man. When I first got an N14, let me just give you an example. When I first got an N14, I got a flat top peep with an N14 to add to my fleet. I was all excited. I was all excited to go drive it. And I was just like, God, this thing's a fucking turd. I was not impressed at all. And then one of my drivers was like, hey man, you can't drive it like you're driving it. You gotta really, put it to this thing. And I started running her up closer, 1800, and that thing came alive, and she was just getting it. Right. So, that's where I would start. I would just change the way that you're driving it. And it might solve most of your problems.
But what do you think about like taking off though? Because whether I'm loaded or empty, she just like sluggish coming out of the hole. Like me and my brother would be together a lot, and just taking off from a light, he'll just run off and leave me. He can't out pull me, but like taking off, I'm running him down every time because he just run off and leave me. She just sluggish coming out of the hole.
Yeah, again, wind it out.
I've tried. I try to keep up with him, and I just can't.
I don't care about keeping up with him, right? Who cares about him?
I know, but it's just no. But what I'm saying is, like, I've tried to wind it out just to see if I could get better results, but she just seems like she ain't doing it. But that's taking off. But like once I get up to speed, and I'm talking like 70, 75 miles an hour, like I feel like I'm doing something then.
Yeah, I really think that you're just dealing with gearings, and you need to wind her out a little more. So what I'm trying to get you to avoid doing is trying to throw a bunch of money at this thing, and there's probably nothing wrong with it. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
Do
you do custom tunes?
Well, I mean, I've been accused of it.
You've been accused of it, so you do.
Yeah, something.
Is there anything you could recommend? Because
here's the thing, man. You have a 5 1/4 red top, is what you said. So there's not really anything out there that I would do for you that's going to give you more horsepower than that. Okay, so that's you're going the wrong direction. Here's my recommendation. We're here every week. Spend the next week trying to change your driving habits a little bit, and give us a call back and just pay real close attention to what boost you're actually pushing, how it acts, winding it out, 18 plus, and let's talk next week and see if there's any difference.
All right. And I'll try that and go from there and see what happens.
Yep.
All right. Appreciate you.
Yep. Later. Yeah, 355s is what I had in every truck I've ever owned, pretty much. Love that ratio. Freaking Billy Goats. All my trucks are Billy Goats, but they certainly didn't do well when we were running at 70 miles an hour, wrapped out to 1,700 RPMs, just chugging fuel like nobody's business. But when you had to get off the line, they get off the line. Joe, you're on the air, brother. What can we do for you?
Hey, I have a 12.7 Detroit. It was overhauled, and I did the dyno break-in. And I'm using lots of oil. So my question is, are the injector trim codes very crucial at the beginning of an overhaul?
I mean, there'd probably be all kinds of guys that would argue with me, but I would, my reply to that would be injector trim codes are not crucial at any point. They're at best, they are an optimal fuel mileage enhancement. If you're going to drop in trim codes from the manufacturer of the injector, that is going to give you optimal fuel mileage, but it is not something that is going to be an issue for runnability. Like you just dropped in 6 injectors and didn't put in the trim codes. You're not going to be like, oh man, this thing runs like shit because I didn't put in, the CD derived trim codes. I've never seen
it just wet stacked. It wet stacked pretty bad, and it seems like the rings didn't break in.
Yeah, how many miles do we have on it?
I got 50,000 miles on it. It made it 15,000, and it scored a piston. And then they decided, gee, we better put the matching trim codes in, and I don't know.
Yeah,
but I did 2 dyno break-ins. So.
Sure. The trim codes are not what smoked that cylinder, but
I'm using about 4 gallons of oil in an oil change and 15,000 miles.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing on a new engine. So, like when a guy comes and picks up an engine from us that we've just built for him or overhauled or whatever it might be, I tell every person, I'm like, hey, man, we expect you to burn a gallon or 2 of oil in the first 10,000 miles.
Yep.
And not to worry about it, right? But if you're at 50,000 miles and you're burning that kind of oil, and you're having all these other issues, for sure, this thing probably needs, a re-ring kit thrown at it and start over again. I don't know why you ended up at this situation, but it certainly sounds like this thing.
Do you believe in dyno break-ins? Because the dyno shop, they said it's fully broke in, so I did put some idle hours on it, but I kept the temperature up to 180, 185. I mean, so I was thinking, gee, I idled the truck, or it's tuning, or those injector codes.
Right. So, one thing at a time. Do I believe in dyno break-in? Of course. I don't believe that it's the only way to do it. Hooking up to a trailer and going and pulling a load, great way to break in a truck. Can a dyno achieve the same thing? Absolutely. And actually, somebody was just asking me when we're going to get our dyno up and running. I'm going to segue real quick and say that the steel to build the platform for the dyno is getting delivered tomorrow. So yeah, we're going to have our dyno up and running here, hopefully within the next 5 or 6 days. But long story short, to answer your question, most likely there's a correlation between your wet stacking issue and your massive oil consumption issue. I don't know why it's wet stacking on you, but if you're having all this wet stack problem, you know, it doesn't take a lot of wet stacking, especially on a new engine, to end up giving you oil consumption problems. Glenn Long says you know, broken ring for sure. I don't know if I would agree that you have a broken ring for sure, but you certainly could. And if you have broken rings, your oil consumption will go absolutely through the roof. Now, here's a good way to, you know, this isn't a surefire way to figure out if you have a broken ring, but a good way to know if you have a broken ring is when you start up the truck and it's not even up to operating temperature yet, and you're, you know, and you're just sitting there at idle and you're already experiencing quite a bit of blowby, and I mean like smoke right away. There's like 90% chance you have a broken ring, right? But if it only starts to show blow by when it's, you know, all the way hot, you're probably just pushing a lot of combustion gas past the rings rather than I have broken rings or swiped out liner or something like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It did have broken rings at the 15,000 miles when it blew up.
Mm-hmm.
And it had 4 injectors that tested bad. But the injector with the broken rings, that injector tested good. But I said we should change it anyways. They said the cross hatching looked good then.
Oh, we didn't change the liners?
On the other ones, the cross hatch looked good. They changed the liner on the scored piston and then the broken rings, but the other 5 liners, they said the cross hatch looked good. But they also had bad injectors.
In the crosshatch probably did look good. Here's one of the problems with liners that get washed or glazed. You know, either one of those are not the same thing, but the end result is the same. When you take apart an engine that has washed liners or glazed liners, the crosshatch will still look good. You would have to have a trophlometer to measure it and know that you actually have a problem, right? So visually just looking at them isn't a metric for did we suffer liner problem, really, unfortunately, right? It dusted liners, on the other hand, that will wipe the crosshatch out. There will be no crosshatch. It would just be a smooth wall. But when you have glazed liners, you can't visibly see that. They look fine.
Okay, so I probably had just had bad injectors that.
You probably smoked
too much idling.
Yeah, you probably smoked all these liners, you know, as far as their ability to retain combustion gas into the combustion chamber. That's probably what's going on. Unfortunately, you know, they should have just did like a re-ring kit and swapped all the liners and all the rings on the pistons, and you probably wouldn't be where you're at.
You don't think a re-ring will fix it? I'd have to do the liners as well.
Well, a re-ring kit comes with the liners, right? Putting new rings on, because it's not the
this guy has a.
It's not the rings that are the problem.
He has a hone. Yeah.
Oh, a hone?
Okay.
Oh man, I don't know about honing a fucking truck liner. I don't know about that. You know, there's a lot of science that goes into the crosshatch on a truck liner for retaining oil for the ring lands, as you know, your wiper ring on the bottom is pushing oil around the circumference of the liner, and the pitch on the crosshatch is what's retaining that oil for the piston to ride on to give it that cushion. I can't imagine going in there with a hone and just beating the shit out of it is going to give you that spec that you need. You know, I know it works fine on these little gas engines and shit, but I don't think that's a thing for these bigger engines. All the cross hatching that we did testing on, man, that was an amazing process that we got to go through. You know, when I hired all those guys and we did all that testing, just the science that goes into that cross hatching and the job that it's meant to do. I can't imagine you could do. I mean, I already know you couldn't repeat that with a hone. It's not going to happen.
We're into it. I would put liners in it then.
Right. It's the liners that you're trying to replace.
Yeah.
The rings you probably technically could get away with leaving, but you know, the kit comes with them, so you just do all of them.
Okay.
I mean,
all right.
I really don't know what else to tell you other than you probably need to throw a re-rain kit at it. I mean, I hate to say that, but
it probably won't get no better.
No, not at 50,000 miles. You know, if we were at 10 or 15 or maybe even 20 and you were telling me about this, I say, man, just, you know, maybe even go, get break-in oil from us or get John Deere's break-in oil or something like that and go hit it one more time and see if maybe you can get it to snap out of it. But not at 50,000 miles, man. There's always a chance of anything, but you know, I'm just going to send you down a fucking rabbit hole and it's not going to fix anything.
All right. Well, the guy said he's going to take care of it. I've been busy hauling honeybees, but I'm just curious if I should let him warranty it or I should pay for it. Is it my idling? You know, the
Scott,
injectors.
The Scott here in the comment section, he's got a really good point. He's, you know, a leak down should be performed on it. And that, you know, rather than just tear this thing down, he's absolutely right. You know, perform a leak down on it and see which cylinders are causing those problems. Well, maybe it's all of them.
Okay.
Maybe it passes a leak down test and we need to be looking elsewhere for our oil consumption. I mean, he's absolutely right. You know,
I got
new
air compressor, new turbo, everything on this motor is.
I understand.
Yeah, I know.
I understand, but the advice I'm giving you is putting the cart before the horse, right? Do a leak down test on it, for sure. That costs almost nothing. You already know the cost of doing the alternative, so it's worth at least doing it. So he's absolutely right. Anyway, brother, I got to grab these last people. We're already out of time, and I still got a couple people to get to. But good luck with that one, man. Let us know what you ever figured out.
Okay. Yeah, I appreciate your time and your show. I hope you have a good night.
You too, sir. Have a good night.
Bye.
Oil bypass versus a centrifuge. I will reply to that. Give me 1 sec. Let me jump through these last two callers, guys. Let's try to make it quick callers. We're already out of time here. Daniel, what can we do for you, brother?
Hey, good evening, Mr. Aaron. How are you, sir?
Good. What can we do for you?
Hey, yes, sir. Hey, quick question. Well, I got 3 quick questions. I've done an in-frame last year with my X15 Cummins. What do you think about a overhead? When should I do one? Because I've done the rebuild on the in-frame at 560,000 miles, and now I am pushing 668,000 miles. What do you think about that?
We recommend right at 100,000 miles. That's a good rule of thumb.
That's a good rule of thumb. Okay, about 100,000 miles do a overhead. Okay, cool. My second question, Mr. Aaron, is I got an Eaton Cooler transmission, and I heard Matthew. He was talking about the transmissions. I have a coolant cooler on above the transmission. he says that sometimes that cooler can get into the transmission and can mess it up. How do you service that? What's your best advice on that? Since I have such a high mileage, 668 miles, 668,000 miles. I did notice when I pull over 81,000 pounds, when I go up like Fancy Gap, I noticed that my transmission heat goes around 220. Should I be worried? Maybe do a air cooler? I don't know.
Brother, 220 is not even getting warmed up. Literally.
Oh, and that transmission? Okay.
That's not shit.
Oh, okay.
That's not even getting warmed up.
That's not.
So
okay.
if you desire to delete your cooler, and I'm not advising that you do or don't, okay? But if you do desire to delete it, you just get rid of the coolant hoses that go to it, remove the cooler, and then you have your in and out on the transmission for the transmission fluid. And all you do is go to any hydraulic shop and have them make a hose and go out and then right back into the transmission. Done deal.
Okay. And that would take the worry of, okay. Now, if I would decide to leave it on, do you change those coolant coolers after, I don't know, do you know any, like,
no, I mean, so there's,
or they just...
that's why, you know, a lot of mechanics out there, myself included, to be honest with you, prefer to just delete them because they don't really do jack shit.
Okay.
And if you have a problem, there's no way to know you're having a problem, and it just smokes your fucking $12,000 transmission.
Right.
And
you can do that on a AMT transmission as well?
Well, any
that's what I got. I got an AMT.
I mean, your transmission has the cooler on it. You can definitely delete it.
Right. Yes, sir.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, Mr. I didn't know if there's a difference between, you know, I mean, yeah, there's a difference between AMT and the manual.
I just try to be cautious about you know, I'm not recommending you delete your cooler because then you burn up your transmission and Aaron's an asshole and told me to delete it.
I want to do the right thing.
Right. I'm not, I don't know what the right thing is for you, but you know, we just deleted 2 transmission coolers on trucks that were getting ready to leave here in the last week. So take that for whatever you will.
Okay.
All right, brother.
Right. Well, I take the best advice from you, sir. One more quick question. I ended up today I was actually going up the mountain yesterday, and I ended up blowing up my radiator. Well, you know, it's plastic, you know, OEM plastic, you know, radiator. It's been probably with the truck for a while. Somebody advised me to go with a brass radiator next time and a 4-chamber radiator. What's your opinion on that? Can you explain a little bit about the radiators, or do you have any idea about the 4-chamber 5?
4-core radiator, and it just has one more core.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And
okay, yeah.
Guys ask me about them all the time. I put them in trucks all the time, but I've never ever in my life given somebody the advice to put a 4-core radiator in, because never in my life have I seen a situation where a 3-core radiator didn't do the job. Never seen it.
Okay.
So no, okay. I think you should just truck with what you have. Save some money.
Stick with the. Okay. All right. Cool, Mr. Aaron. I appreciate you. Hey, good to hear from you again. And you have a wonderful evening, Mr. Aaron. God bless you.
You too. Have a good night, man. Bye.
Thanks. Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, last caller. Here we go. 12-7 or 12-7 feet towards the lock. What the hell? What can we do for you?
It must not have recorded me all the way, Aaron. I got a 12-7 deck 4, and I went to pushing coolant real hard, and so I verified that, you know, it was coming from the engine. All right. So I pulled the head and everything. Well, it cracked dead center of the block between 3 and 4, and the crack went almost to the bottom where the liner shim lays. Now, and I'm 100% sure it's that, because you can see when you pull the liner, you can see where the coolant ring was around it, like the orange film, and you can see a clear spot where the combustion was, blowing right, through the crack. So my problem is that I get mixed information on putting sleeves in it, I guess is the terminology for it. And nobody will, stand behind the sleeve, and they keep telling me, you just need to go get a new block. You just need to go get a new block. So I just quit, it's just sitting there now, because I've been having trouble finding a block. And I honestly would like to send the block off, and I know a machine shop that's pretty good up in Illinois, and they'll do it and they'll stand behind it, and they'll even deck it, and they'll, do everything to the block, hot tank and all that, deck it and put the sleeves in it. And, if I put it all back together, put it in the truck and it goes pushing coolant, they'll warranty it. But the thing of it is if it goes down the road like 20,000 miles and it goes to do it again, that's kind of where I was. And I don't really know. I've never experienced a crack in the block between the adjacent cylinder, right dead center like that. So I don't know what to do. That's why I'm kind of calling you and see what you think.
We that's not an issue. I mean, I don't understand why wouldn't you want to take that route? Are you worried about having the machine shop fix that one?
Well, everybody keeps telling me that it won't last. I've had several people tell me, like mechanics, that it will not last. You need to go get a new block and start over.
Well, that's nonsense. I've done sleeves and deck savers and decks and man, I don't know why somebody's telling you that.
Yeah, I've had one guy tell me that it would work, and I don't know if he was full of crap or not. He said it would stay together. He said he's seen motors with 500,000, 600,000, 700,000 miles on them, and they stay together. And
we do
that
upper
doesn't, the crack doesn't occur.
We do upper sleeves all the time. Upper sleeves, the Detroit's literally made for it.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, seriously, the of all the engines that you're gonna cut, I mean, because we do it to cats, so we cut cats all the time, and I'm not talking like doing liner shims. I'm talking about we take it's like 3/8 of an inch out and put a whole sleeve in the top, right? A whole top repair sleeve, and I'm a hell of a lot more nervous about doing that than I am on the Detroits, because the Detroits literally comes from the factory sleeved, and that sleeve is removable and you can re-sleeve it, right? Of all the engines, if your machine shop's just saying, hey, we just need to sleeve this thing, abso-fucking-lutely, I wouldn't hesitate a minute. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I'm going to take you. I've been following you for several years, ever since you were up in North Dakota, and everything you've ever said or anything.
So I want to ask you. I want to ask you a couple questions. I mean, 2 questions. Has it been cut to the max already? And is the block cracked, or is that why we're nervous? Or
the block is cracked? Yes, right between 3 and 4, dead center.
Okay.
Yes.
And what is the machine shop?
And I have some
what does the machine shop say? Has the machine shop looked at it? What are they saying?
I sent them some very detailed pictures, and they said, absolutely, we can fix that because the crack isn't all the way down to where the liner shim lays.
Okay.
Where it's been counterbored.
Yeah,
okay?
I mean, I wouldn't worry about it. So I
Don't
mean,
worry about it.
if you saw some of the shit we fixed, it would blow your mind, man. Cracked blocks.
That's why I'm calling you.
We're drilling and pinning cracked blocks all the time. You know, like on and I'm talking on main caps and stuff like that. You know, we have fretting and we've actually cracked. The only cracks that we don't fix is if our crack gets into the oil galley. And you're a long ways away from an oil galley. If your machine shop is confidently telling you, "Oh, don't worry about it," fucking don't worry about it. Who cares what some guy at a truck stop tells you?
Well, the sad thing is, Aaron, is the people I've been talking that I've been talking to, they've been in the mechanic field their whole life, and they have big shops. And they're telling me this to go get a new block.
Doesn't make them machinists.
Correct. Right. I agree.
My machine,
Okay.
both of our machinists, we use two different machinists because we do so many. You know, we might end up having 400 blocks a year machined, right? And it's just kind of too much for one place. So, both of those guys just don't bat a fucking eye at stuff. I'm like, that needs to go in the dumpster. And they're like, oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. You know, and we throw away a lot of shit that they, in fact, one of these machine shops that I'm referring to buys stuff. We used to throw a lot of stuff in the dumpster, and now we set it aside because they show up every, 90 days or so, and they buy it all from us because they're going to go fix it all. Stuff that I wouldn't fix, cylinder head stuff mainly is what I'm referring to, and cranks and stuff. So, I mean, you have to realize that we live in a day and age now where your local shop, guys like myself, aren't willing to fix anything because we're just been so conditioned to, everything can be bought new. Why would you fix anything and fuck all that, right? And they just push that expense off onto the end user. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
We need
I'm following you.
we need to fall on a little harder times, and all of those guys will go away, and there'll only be people that are willing to actually fix stuff left. They'll tell you that much, right?
Right.
I mean, our machine shop will take heads and drill and pin the cracks. You got all the cracks in the heads, they fucking fix them. That's wild to me. I won't reuse them. I don't use
crazy.
stuff like that, but they buy them from me because that's exactly what they're doing with them. They're drilling and pinning them. And you having a crack up in the top of the block and in your machine shop saying, don't worry about it. Fucking roll tide.
Okay. So you would feel comfortable that that motor would stay together, and I'm very particular about maintenance. I do oil samples.
Well, your engine,
everything.
your engine might get it because of that crack. How about that?
Okay, that answers my question. Perfect. Thank you.
All right, brother.
That okay.
Good luck, man.
Thank you, Aaron. You have a good night, buddy. All right.
You too. Bye. Yeah, the first time I took a block in, that the main caps, the main saddles, not the caps. The main saddles were fucking cracked everywhere. In the machine shop, I was like, "Oh, we can fix all that." Like, Jesus Christ, how do you figure? And they did. They drilled and pinned everything, and then they took 3/1000ths off the caps to close the hole and fucking line board that thing and sent it. Yeah, and we built the guy's engine out of it and never had a problem. Anyway, I promised I'd answer that guy's question. He was asking me about the difference between an oil bypass and a centrifuge, and I have a lot of experience with both of those. In fact, I put a spinner twos and the like on every truck I ever owned. and maintained them for 15 odd years, and they are an awesome apparatus. They really are, but you have to look at what the spinner's job is. And a spinner's job is to pull soot out of the system, and they do a good job of that. The problem is that's all they do. They're not taking all the other contaminants out of your oil. A centrifuge spins the oil really fast and it flings it against the wall of the canister. And because your soot is sticky, it sticks to the wall. And the more that sticks, the better it sticks. And it just keeps building up and building up and building up. But when you go to clean that thing, you can take all of that soot out of there and you can literally make a rubber baseball out of it and bounce it. It's really crazy. It's cool to see. But that's all it's doing. And is that beneficial? Absolutely beneficial. But your oil bypass is taking everything else out. Moisture, all of the contaminants, any metals, anything like that. That spinner's not doing that. It's not pulling, those kind of contaminants out. It's only grabbing the soot. So oil bypass is astronomically better than a spinner. Now, if I had to pick between the two, no competition, right? And if all the people on planet Earth that should be biased towards one or the other, I should be biased towards a spinner because that's what I had. And it's like, oh, that's what my daddy did type thing, but I know better. I've seen the results of spinners versus bypasses, and hands down, bypass guys that are running bypasses, valve trains look way better. The cams look good, cranks, everything just way better. And oil sampling on an engine with a bypass versus oil sampling on an engine with a centrifuge, night and day difference, right? You're not going to see these dramatically better oil samples from running a centrifuge. It's just not a thing. But you will see these dramatically better oil samples from running a bypass. And you will see like crazy difference. So they both have their place. Centrifuges usually come into their own on industrial equipment, like heavy mining equipment, and you have centrifuges that are the size of freaking toilets that they're operating on their, great application for them. And they're kind of a set and forget, they won't maintain them for a couple of years. Just let them crank away and crank away. That's when they really come into their own. Running them on your truck, I wouldn't say, don't put one. But if we're doing apples to apples or we're trying to pick one, it's no competition. But if you have one sitting there, should you put one on? Sure. Doesn't centrifuge get smaller micron? No, man. A centrifuge doesn't do it. A centrifuge has no filter. It's just flinging oil against the wall. That's all it does. And if it is not a substance that can stick to the wall, it just rolls right back down to the oil pan. So it's really just a soot removing device. Soot only. So, do I know of any engines that run factory centrifuges? Yeah, man. All of your what am I thinking of? All your Max Forces did. Max Forces did. I think don't the DD15s have a centrifuge on them? Yeah, it's not uncommon to see centrifuges for sure. Especially on your engines that have the EGRs and all that, and they're worried about extra soot in the oil and all of that. A centrifuge on an EGR engine, great idea. Packars, yeah, the Packars have the spinners. That's right. And Packars is concerned about their EGR raising the soot levels in the oil, and the solution is obviously the solution is obviously the centrifuge. Sorry, I was trying to cut off the phone line there. Call that a done deal. Anyway, guys, what the Calvin Wold slows down my front main link. So if You know, I always cringe when guys tell me that you know, they think something really bad happened to their engine and they have a front main seal leak. That's almost always means I have a broken crank, unfortunately. So that sucks, buddy. That sucks for sure. But can one run both? Absolutely. Can a guy run a centrifuge and an oil bypass? Absolutely. And you know, if you were just trying to be that guy that's extra, 100%. 100%. There's no reason, you know, anybody that would tell you that's stupid is stupid for telling you that, because your centrifuge is more of a set and forget. You know, especially if you're running an oil bypass system, your centrifuge, you clean it out every 2 years. Let that fucker run. Let her eat. Huh. So, yeah. I mean, but you know, the question is really which is better. There's no question. The bypass by far. By far. If the centrifuge was better, I would be trying to develop a centrifuge. That's a fact. That is a fact. For sure. I want to attach my name to anything that increases the longevity of an engine. Run centrifuge and oil bypass and AMSOIL and you have a winner. Absolutely. Or any tier 4 oil for sure. But anyway, guys, have a fix for what? I'm kind of hanging on here, Glenn, so you can tell CJ what the fix is before I shut it down and he doesn't ever get to hear your reply. So what's the fix? When will we have bypass filters available? You mean for the bypasses that we sell? We have some filters in, and I just sent an email right before the show and asked where all of our filters are. So we better have them soon. You're gonna run until it blows sky high. We're in San Antonio. We're in southern on the south end of San Antonio. This shop's actually, you know, quite a bit further south. This shop is actually in Pleasanton. So, but anyway, guys, can't the bypass remove the good shit? You know, that's actually a good question. I'll answer that one before we jump off here. Does the oil bypass have the capability of removing the additive package, which is what you mean by the good shit? And the answer to that is actually it's possible. It is possible. If you're running, you know, and that's why some bypasses like AMSOIL, for example, their bypass is actually pretty big micron for bypass. You know, they're 2, 3, or even 4 micron on their bypass, and that's to avoid removing any additive package. But it's a trade-off there, right? So your bypasses that are really concerning themselves with the additive package don't do nearly as good of a job, and you're kind of defeating the purpose a little bit. But then you know, so what's the answer? In my opinion, the answer is to get the tightest bypass that you can and run a premium oil that has a nano additive package, right? That's why ours has been a nano additive package, because we're going all the way down to a 1 micron, where AMSOIL is like a 2 or 3 micron. Or I've heard that if you test them, they're actually a 4 micron, which wouldn't surprise me, because they're trying really hard not to suck their additive package out. But if your additive package is nano size, it's not an issue. So, you know, you definitely have to, you know, it's like anything else. You got to be educated, know what you're doing. Don't just throw shit at shit and hope everything's going to work out. But you're putting stop leak in your oil. Yeah, stop leak. That's not going to help probably. Anyway, guys, no, there you go. Send them a PM. You guys have a good night. Appreciate everybody coming here. Love you a long time. The answer to that question is we put our bypass filtration system on hold. We're not sure exactly what we're going to do. We're going to get something up and running though, because I'm a huge believer in them. We had a dispute with the guys that were making them for us, a friendly dispute where, we're still talking, still emailing back and forth. It just came down to a marketing thing. They demanded that we let them co-brand it. And that wasn't our deal. They were making them for us, and they're like, "Oh, you guys are going to get so much attention. We want our name on there too." Like, I would just do your own marketing, and it became a deal breaker. So it's what it is. And we were raising concerns with them about oil pressure problems anyway. So, everything kind of happens for a reason. Before hundreds and hundreds of people bought them from us, maybe this is the best move. I really like it. Don't get me wrong. And I'm not telling you don't go buy one from them, because I don't know what they're going to do with the 400 of them they made for us. We're going to have to get rid of them. So anyway, I highly recommend you get a oil bypass filtration system. And take it as being genuine, as I'm not sitting here telling you to buy one from me. I highly recommend you get one. It's the best way to run for sure. Our oil, on the other hand, will be, like I said, we have a shipment coming, and we're meeting with the blenders in 2 weeks to see if we can tweak our oil even more than it is now. And they are doing nano additive packages in our oil. So, we're not getting our oil from the same place, but it is the same oil, so to speak. So anyway, guys, love you a long time. Have a good night. Thanks for coming. See you next week. I appreciate everybody.